Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mr. Carlson's Lab. Today I've got a very neat video to share with all of you. Somebody's voice is trapped within this wire, this hair-thin wire, and it could go back possibly as far as the 1940s. Today we are going to extract that voice from this wire and hear what they have to say. Let's get started. Here's a closer look at the two reels of wire. To give you an example of how this was stored, this was screwed down into a wooden box with this slack left in the stainless wire here. And I'm very glad I noticed that because this is very hard to see. I've got light kind of glinting on it here just a little bit so you can kind of see the shimmer as I move the wire around. It's a very, very thin wire. And of course, if I was to just pull this tight, that would be the end of it. So I need to be super, super careful here. Somebody was nice enough to put some tape on here. It looks like just standard tape with a little relief on it. I guess to stop this wire from unwinding. I can imagine if this was removed, it'd probably do this and be its own issue there. Hopefully it doesn't leave any residue on the wire. If it does, I'll be cleaning that with some solvent before anything happens here. So that's basically what this is. I would say, around the size of a human hair, maybe a little thicker. It's extremely thin stuff. So it should be a lot of fun to try and extract whatever is on this. Now I've got a bunch of old junk wire recorders out in the shop. They're all in various states of disrepair, so I'll go grab one that looks the nicest out of the lot and we'll patch it up, put this thing on there and see if we can hear what's on these reels. Very heavy. There it is. A Peirce wire recorder. Feels like it's filled with bricks. It's heavy. Very, very heavy. Got the back side here. Cord's just tied up. So what do you think the chances are of this thing working? I can tell you, pretty slim. Looks like it's definitely seen better days. So this is where the reels of stainless wire would go. This is the head. And these shafts here, these are little locks that lock into those spools so that the spools don't spin freely on the shaft. Usually you can just pull the spool forward and they'll pop right off of these things. This head's neat. Now this is one of the mechanisms that definitely needs to work. And if you ever pick one of these things up, if you know that you've got a good set of, spools with stainless wire on it with no brakes, you definitely want to make sure that this thing works right. This thing needs to move in and out as these turn. So it has to go in and out. So that way what it does is as the actual stainless wire is moving along, it basically takes the stainless wire and brings it along the pulley like this so it all doesn't bunch up in one area. So this has to work. So if this doesn't work in this machine, I'll definitely have to, pull the whole thing apart and get that working first. These little clips usually come off. They do. There's one and this one here. So you just lay the wire through here. So I'll get you a little closer to this so you can actually see what's going on. And move you up here. So you lay the wire through this, and then once the wire is through this, you can hold the wire down, and then you pop these little clips back on. So you just put the little clip back on and it holds the wire inside there. And of course, keeps everything in order so that the wire doesn't pop off when you stop it or rewind it or do whatever. So that's what those are for. So I may as well just leave those off because I'm going to have to put that in. So look at this. Lots of crust on this thing. So Department of Psychology. I find that a lot of these things are from departments of psychology. I don't know whether Peirce had something to do with institutions or teaching institutions, but most of these things have got, psychology written on them. So kind of interesting. So down here, focus down here we have a switch that says record. So I need to be very careful I don't do that by accident. So there's no lockout. So I don't know this particular machine if it would just start recording or not. It might need something in here, like a mic, with a push to talk or something like that for this to work. So there's stop, rewind, and listen. And that's what we're interested in right here is listen. I imagine this is probably a recording light. Most of these had a little neon bulb for that. Looks like a timer. So yeah, definitely. Switches on each end. Very common. So I guess what really has to happen now is I need to plug this thing into my current limited isolation transformer and variac supply, and let's see if this thing even spins. Let's see if anything happens. If not, we'll go inside and patch the thing up so that we can find out what's on those reels. All right, let's get rid of that line cord here. A little restraint for the cord. Looks like the cord may have been added in. I see 2 pins in here, so somebody down the road has put this cord on it. So it's been a replacement. Okay, so what I'll do is plug this into the isolation transformer and current limited variac supply back here. Like so. And let's take a look at what's going to happen here. What do you think, smoke? Let's find out. So it is in listen. So what I'll do is I'll turn the supply on right now. I don't know which is on or off. Nope, that's not it. That is it. Okay, so that's off. Turn this on. All right, are you ready? Here we go. Let's find out what happens. Oh, I hear a motor spinning. Nothing's happening. Those are turning. You hear that motor spinning? I don't know if you can. Let's move the mic down here. Speaker is just absolutely quiet. Turn the gain. Yeah, it's just nothing there. So I think the indicator light is still on. If it is, it's pretty dim. It looks like it's on. It is on. Little jewel light on the bottom there. Let's turn this thing around. I don't smell anything. That's a good thing. Oh, tubes are lighting up in there. There seems to be 3. So I think this looks like another one over here. So probably some behind here. I imagine they probably did this. It looks like it's in a pocket here to maybe stop. There's obviously going to be pulleys and stuff up in here, maybe to stop the heat of the tube from getting trapped in here and maybe drying things up. I don't know, just an absolute guess at this point, because it looks like it's kind of ducted out like this. So on the bottom here, I did notice that it says here, when removing back, lift upwards to clear the tubes. Disconnect the power before removing, obviously. Look at that. Pretty light down in there. You can see that. I move the focus down just a touch. There it is. So there's 3 tubes in there. That looks like a rectifier tube. And 2 other tubes here of some sort. So I guess now would be the time to open it up and find out why those aren't spinning. So shut that down, remove this. It's completely isolated anyways. When that switch is off, everything is off, so no problems there. So what do you think? Let's find out. And lift, and there you go. So what do we got? Well, there's a good reason why nothing's moving. Look at these belts. Well, there's one problem. These things here look like they're as hard as they are as hard as a rock. I wonder if these are going to even spin these. It's supposed to be rubber. Listen to that, it's like plastic. This one here isn't as hard. Yeah, it's pretty hard. So far, that's what we're looking at. So the motor's on the bottom. Well, the good thing is the motor is spinning. Oh, move some of these screws out of the way here. The motor is spinning, we heard that. Yeah, it spins pretty freely too. Oh, there are the two tubes here. All right, so there's a tube here as well. And it looks like it's actually stood off the chassis. So let's move the focus up here a touch. It's stood off the chassis a little bit here, maybe for vibration reasons. Obviously, those are as hard as a rock, those rubber insulators or isolators on there. So that is just, yeah, no shock absorption there. Probably because of the motors and everything on the chassis. They don't want any buzzing or humming to get in there. So what is that? 6SQ7? Looks like it. The structure inside looks like it. I think that's a 6SQ7. What are these things over here? Let's move down here just a touch. Zoom in. So that's pretty, not too bad. What do we got going on here? Oh, 6V6. What's this one here? Oh, another one. This one is quite a bit hotter. And the rectifier tube. Okay, what do we got here? 5Y3 or something like that. 5Y4. 5Y3. There we go. So, no problems. All right, so we'll put these all back in. And we'll take this one out. Ah, boy, that's nice and firm in there. Yeah, 6SQ7. Detector. It's a detector and an audio amplifier. So 2 diodes and a triode in that one. This one here. 6SJ7. Interesting. Pentode. I wonder what they're doing with this. Well, I'm going to have to look through my library and see if I can find a schematic. And go from there. Let's take a look in behind and see what we can see. Maybe we can see anything. I might need to get a separate light to get inside here so that we can see what's going on behind. Lots of waxy goodness there. I can see that wax cap back there. Ah, this flashlight will work. Hopefully it's not too bright. Yeah, lots of waxy goodness back there. Look at that. Oh, another big capacitor right here. I'll just move you over here so it doesn't defocus. Another big capacitor back in there. Yeah, that's on this side here. Oh, we got a plug that runs up to the top side there. And let's see if we can see anything else in here while we're at it. Probably not. It's not, at least with me not dropping this thing. Boy, that's heavy, this thing. Wow. Big transformer in there, big heavy motor. Look at the size of that motor. You know? Well, when my furnace motor quits, I'll have a spare. Kidding, of course. Not that big, but it's pretty big. Some relays here. And it looks like there's another one on the top. Let's move you up here so you can see that. So a relay here and a relay down here. Those wheels here look like they're in actually really good condition, but they're as hard as a rock, these things. They look like look at that. That looks like it's in really nice condition, doesn't it? But it's as hard as a rock. And I mean hard, like that feels like a solid plastic piece, that thing. So I don't know how that's gonna work. Might have to do something with that. And this one here looks really good too, but the rubber on this is just a little bit softer. I can actually put my fingernail into that just a little bit. Now usually these things get flat spots on them. Look at that, they're all just turning just fine. And it is actually, oh, it's a little bit of slippage there. I thought I saw. Yeah, you see that, right? I don't know how this is going to work. So what do you think we got to do here to get this thing working? We need belts. What are we going to do to patch this for now? You know what? I'll go get a bag of rubber bands. Let's try that. One can never have too many rubber bands. As you can see, I have many. So this should get the thing turning, I hope. So I just want to find two that are relatively stretchy, something like that. That'll probably work. So I can find another one like that. I think we will be good to go. So the ones that were on there were they look like O-rings, actually. They look like really big O-rings. And I imagine I could probably try to source some O-rings. That looks like it might be the same one. They are the same, look at that. All right, let's try these two out and see what happens. So move you over here. They had O-rings on here, obviously. So they used those as belts. Now to find an O-ring that big would be kind of interesting. Looks like maybe an oil filter housing type O-ring or something like that. Look at that, one only. It's doing it with one. So let's put two on and we should definitely have some success when this is going. I think that's going to work great. Rubber bands saved the day again. Okay, I'll get this whole thing plugged in and turned around and let's see what happens. See if those two shafts on the front actually spin and if the head moves in and out. All right, let's see if this moves. Actually, I'll turn these like so, and then that way it makes this a little easier to see with these little tabs spinning like so, right? All right, this is still on, and I'll turn on my isolation transformer, current limited variac supply. So let's see what happens. Here we go. So we'll rewind. Oh, looks like that's working. You can tell, you see how hard those wheels are in there. If that was soft rubber on those wheels, that wouldn't be making that bump, bump, bump noise. Okay, and listen. So now here's the big thing. When we hit listen, we should be able to see this thing move in and out here. Now, of course, this one is should be driving at that point. So here we go. All right, look at that. Boy, is that ever noisy. Some rubber renew might actually work for that. Probably because there's a mild flat spot on it. The rubber bands are working. And I'll put it into rewind. There it is. So yeah, most likely flat spots or something like that, right? And of course, again, they're as hard as a rock. But it's enough that we might actually be able to listen to this thing. So who knows? The speaker is absolutely silent. Like there is just nothing coming out of this speaker. And obviously 6v6s are the power tubes. So let's take a look at these things a little closer and see what's going on. So I'll just put this back to stop. And let's see. Yeah, that's filament warm. And this one here is filament warm as well. So when these things have anode, the B plus on the anode, they get quite a bit hotter when they're actually working. This feels like when just the cathode lights up in the center, they hardly get warm at all. And this is hardly warm at all. So it almost feels like there is no B plus. Like this one is a little warmer than average on the sides here. This one is just almost cold. Like, I mean, it's just lukewarm. So there must be some B plus because this one here is a lot cooler than this one. And they're the same tube, and this is actually starting to get relatively hot now. So, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. And that speaker is just silent. Like, there is absolutely nothing coming out of that speaker. Let's see if the outlet. See, 6SQ7 is lit up as well. And of course, this is just cold. And that's cold. This is probably the coldest one here. It's like as warm as the chassis. So who knows? All right, well, at least we're on the way. You know what I should do is go dig up a schematic and see what these things actually do. I'll see if I can find one. I did have a nice copy of a schematic for this thing in my files. Usually when I get an old device like this, I spend some time and hunt down the schematic and put it in a file. So one day whenever I go about restoring something like this and sharing the process with you, I'm usually prepared. And thankfully, I did find one way back when. In fact, I actually think I have the original manual for this thing as well. So anyways, two 6V6s. So this one here drives the audio transformer, and this one here is for recording purpose. So that's these two tubes right here. Which one does which? Unknown at this point. We'd have to remove the bottom and find out. The 6SJ7 and the 6SQ7 are the two tubes that are in this far corner here. So this is the metal one. That would be this first tube here. And the glass one here is the second one, the 6SQ7. So this is basically just an audio amplifier circuit, a single-ended audio amp right here. That's all this is doing. So it looks like this is gonna, they're using a pentode, which is this tube right here, in the front end in order to get some pretty extreme gain. So probably attached to, a microphone of some sort, maybe with a push-to-talk button or something on it like that. And, just audio preamplifier stage right here with a volume control on it. This looks like a tone control. This is probably the tone control right here. The 5Y3 rectifier is this one right here, and that's in the power supply. So the motor looks like it's just driven off the AC line, so it'll be a fixed speed. And what else? This is a relatively simple circuit. We have an erase head, humbucking, and sound. So this is the head circuit right here. And of course, as you can see, this is switched into this section right here. And the line usually indicates a core here, connection between these. So relatively simple circuit, very simple circuit. Oh, and here's the neon bulb right over here. Right in the audio amplifier circuit. Right off of, so the B plus line is here. And this is connected to, outside here, on here, right? So obviously probably to let you know either modulation or something is clipping or something like that. Very simple circuit. So yeah, very little heat in these two tubes, and these two here are lukewarm. So that kind of tells me that usually these tubes, you can't touch them. Like these two tubes here. These two tubes are so hot you can't even put your finger on it. If you did, you'd really know it. These things are crazy hot. And same with the rectifier tube. Preamplifier tubes like this usually get relatively hot, but nothing like power tubes like this. These things here, when they're in service and they're working properly, you can't put a finger on them. They're that incredibly hot. So obviously low B plus or something in this unit. So we'll see what we can do. We'll see if we can get this thing working without having to tamper with it too much, and see if we can listen to this. So what I'll do is I'll go get those reels and put them on the front and see if we can hear any sound in this thing, see if anything changes when we do that. Again, it's pretty quiet, so I think there's probably something going on under the chassis here. All right, let's put those reels on. So I got these two little clips here. Open these up. I have to be really careful with this wire. I don't snag it on anything. Now, there's a 50-50 chance that this reel should be there and this reel should be here, but we'll try it out anyways and see what happens. So I'm holding the wire up here, as you can see. Let's put this on here like so. I'll lock that in. Lock that in. So it looks like I'd probably be able to do this. Might be able just to put some tension on that. Just a little bit of tension right there, and that'll hold it all in the head. I'll put these little clips on, stop the wires from popping out. Okay, so I've got this tape on here now that hopefully didn't leave any residue from whoever put this on here. Felt like it may have had a bit of sticky stuff on here. No, not too bad. It felt like it might have left something, so I gotta go to the other side here and see if I can get this piece off. Hopefully this one does the same. Yeah, that one came off relatively easy. So I think at this point, just about tripping over cords here. I think at this point, that should probably be good. So everything is on, it's locked, it's in there. It's on stop. Well, here's the moment of truth. I'll turn this thing on. It's the isolation transformer and current limited variac supply. So the gain is wide open. We may as well turn the tone up, see if anything happens. And here we go. Well, it is working. But of course nothing is coming out of the speaker, it's just silent. You can see that, hopefully you can. Obviously not tracking too well with the way the wire was put on there, but I expect that. Okay, so we're this far here. Now the speaker is just silent. There is absolutely nothing coming out of this, which makes me really wonder if there is B+ issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my ultra probe and I'm going to listen around in here and maybe we can hear something with the ultra probe and that'll give us a better idea of what's going on. I'll just go grab that and be right back. Okay, let's see what we've got going on here. So I'll turn this on first. Okay, that should be enough. Give it some gain, see what we can hear. Okay, so here we go. So it's hearing it's actually mechanical noise. That's the sound of the stainless wire moving through the head. You can actually hear the knocking noises. It's actually listening to the pulleys. So let's stop this for a moment. And let's go around the back and see what we can hear in the back side. Let's move this out of the way. Now I got to be careful that I don't hit that record. So move this over just a touch. And put this on here. Ground this out to the chassis again. Get these cords not so kinked up. Put this on the chassis. So this way, when I go into the chassis, it should get quiet. As you can see that there. I'll back this out just a little bit. Put this down. So this shields the actual probe. Right now it's just picking up noise out here. This is the new device. This isn't the Super Probe. This is the Ultra Probe. Completely different device, higher sensitivity, has detection built right into here and everything. So anyways, let's see what happens here. Rubber bands. Oh, listen to this.
I don't believe that the case of society failing these.
Wow. So there is voice in there. There is voice. It changed pitch a little bit. And it looks like it's doing okay on the front wheel. Hopefully this, let's see what happens here. Okay, let's keep going.
society failing these three men. I believe they're byproducts of society, which we see as failing to live up to its responsibilities. I don't believe there has ever been a place in our modern society in Canada, United States, where they have faced up to the responsibilities.
Wow. So that's the voice. It is actually playing a voice. You know what we should do? So it's picking up a lot of noise on the top end of the chassis here. It's hearing the actual rubber bands moving around and the pulleys and everything. Now keep in mind, this is just a piece of coax. This isn't a microphone or anything like that. Just a total piece of coax, and it listens to so many things. So it's hearing everything on the upper side. So if I can tip this upside down and maybe get this under the chassis, maybe closer to the wiring on this tube, we might actually be able to hear things. This is actually hearing the signal in this vacuum tube on the just outside here, just by having it around this. So that's pretty good. These are the audio, well, one of these is the audio output tube. I guess we could try that, see if there's anything there. A little bit. Wow. So yeah, pretty much nothing on the audio output tube. I'm looking inside the top of that tube right now, and I see one of the grid wires glowing. So probably bad caps and a whole bunch of stuff going on under the side of the underside of the chassis here. So I'll get the bottom off this, and let's take a listen inside. Maybe we can hear just a little bit better. That's looking all original. We're very close too. Look at that. That's looking very original in there. So this here is the preamp. Let's get the screws out of the way here. This is the preamp section down in here. So what I'll do, we want to get close to that tube there and see what we can hear. So I'll turn this around so that we can listen to this. Right now it's off, so nothing is going to happen. Put this down. This thing is heavy. All right, so we'll turn this back on, make sure everything is off on the front. And yeah, okay. Maybe we can get a bit better idea of what's going on in this thing from the bottom side here. So I need to ground this to the chassis here. And let's see what's going on the front here. Okay, so I think we're ready to go. Make sure I turn this the right way again. Preamp tube.
We're in a farm where the people looked after themselves to a far greater degree. If they had no mother or father, she stayed in the farm dwelling. People were responsible to themselves for their own affair of mind till they turned to the squire. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So it sounds like there's quite a bit of power supply hum.
over the United States.
So it sounds like there's quite a bit of power supply hum in this. Give me a second here. Pardon me for getting in front of the camera there. Quite a bit of power supply hum. So I imagine there's ripple. The filter cap in this is probably bad, which is definitely a really big possibility. So what I'll do quickly here is I'll grab a couple of external filter caps, maybe add some filters to this, and that might clear it up so we can have even a little bit better listen to what he's saying. All right, I've got 2 new electrolytic caps and I've paralleled them into circuit. Now, by no means is this a restoration or repair. This is just to add some filtering to where some filtering is missing. So in the case of a restoration or anything like that, the old cap needs to be removed out of circuit completely when the new ones are put in. But again, this is just for demonstration purposes, just to add some filtering. So I'll turn this thing on and let everything warm up here for a moment. So let the tubes come into emission. Caps are looking okay down there, and let's see if we can hear anything better now. So this should be interesting. Hopefully this gets rid of the hum. So I'll take a look around the front here, make sure I'm going the right way. Okay, here we go.
Great Britain, this moment beginning to assume the responsibility necessary for governments to assume, and I don't agree with Brother Saudi here when he says the government shouldn't assume all of these responsibilities. I like to believe that the government, there are elected representatives, and they are the people who must do it, who must look at it, and must find ways and means of looking after her.
Wow, that is really neat. So that's nice and clear now. That's nice and clear. So it needs filter caps. There's still absolutely no sound coming out of the speaker, and the grid in that tube is glowing orange. So, of course, there's a lot more troubleshooting to do and find out why we're getting no sound and everything in here. But at least, you know, with the Ultra Probe, it allowed us to listen into the components here and actually hear what's going on. That is very neat. If you would like to, you know, go through an entire troubleshooting procedure with me, let me know and I'll revisit this in another video, and we'll find out why this isn't actually making any sound out of the speaker and find out why the grid in that tube is glowing and all that kind of stuff. But we got to hear what was on that wire, and it's actually pretty clear. It sounds very, very good. So I'm very impressed. So that's yeah, very, very neat. Neat to actually hear that. Who knows how long or how long ago that was actually recorded. Very, very neat. So anyways, oh, and if you're interested in this thing is a project that you can build. So I have all the plans and everything to build this on my Patreon site, all the build files and everything, even the front decal here, and I tell you how to put this all together. It's actually a pretty decent and simple project to build, and it's so sensitive that, well, as you can hear, it's, you know, hearing right inside components here. So anyways, definitely check that out if you're interested. I'll talk more about this right at the end of the video. Anyways, I think that was a project successful, and if you'd like me to, again, continue troubleshooting in the future here and revisit this, let me know in the comments below, and we'll trace down all the problems in this thing and maybe get the sound coming out of its actual speaker. Listening to that voice on the wire was really neat, and I hope you enjoyed the process as much as I did. I'll have more videos like this coming in the very near future, so definitely stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe and tap that bell symbol. If you liked the video, you can let me know by giving me a thumbs up as well. If you're interested in that Ultra Probe, definitely check that out. I'll put the link to that just below the video's description under the Show More tab, and I'll pin the link at the top of the comments section. You can also check out my ongoing electronics course while you're there. All right, until next time, take care. Bye for now.